Welcome to Spiritual Calisthenics. Christ is in our midst. On August 27th, we commemorate St. Pimen the Great, the Holy Martyr Phanurius, St. Anthousa the Martyr, St. Pimen of Palestine, St. Osisus, Confessor, St. Phanurius, Pope of Rome, and St. Martyr. The flexibility of the Orthodox Church in its selection of saints is made evident in the canonization of a saint about whom next to nothing is known. What little there is remains shrouded in mystery, all of which makes this particular saint the most unique, certainly in the annals of Christendom. His name is known, at least, but even if it were not, the same reverence could be accorded him, because like the unknown soldier at whose grave a wreath is placed annually, he lies in honored glory, known but to God. The saint's name, however, is known. It happens to be Phanurius, which, though it may not be a household word, is much better remembered by the faithful of Orthodoxy in the eastern sector of Christianity than a good many more obscure saints whose biographies have been written in detail and who fill mere pages in church literature than the mysterious Phanurius. Phanurius has been revered as a saint. His feast day has been celebrated for more than 500 years, considerably longer than the lesser saints, and his name invoked in prayer quite possibly as often as some of the major saints. This is all the more remarkable when it is considered that it is not known when or where he was born, what he did in his lifetime, in what manner he served the Lord, or what he did for his fellow man. But there is mute testimony that he died the death of a martyr, after having been horribly tortured, and in addition to mystery, there is an aura of divine manifestation in the man whom nobody knows. A fortuitous discovery by nomadic pagans, not Christians, brought to light this unheralded saint when a roving band of Arabs who had pillaged the island of Rhodes uncovered amidst the ruins of an ancient church a group of icons, among other artifacts. All of the icons were in a state of decay or near ruin with the exception of one, which appeared as new and as fresh as though it had been painted the day before. The icon was discarded by the Arabs, who failed to attach any importance to it. At a safe distance, a group of monks hiding in the rubble observed this phenomenon and waited patiently until the Arabs had left the scene, whereupon they rushed to reclaim this fantastic image in its remarkable state of preservation. They beheld a clearly outlined face of a saint with the name inscribed in what appeared to be fresh lettering that spelled out Phanurius, and on closer examination fell on their knees at what they saw. Drawn about the saint were 12 distinct frames, in each of which Phanurius was shown enduring a cruel form of torture in a realism that suggested the artist must have been witness to the atrocity. They rushed back to see if any of the other icons were in as perfect a state, but although they were all of the same basic design, size, and shape, all of them were quite ancient and quite indistinct. After careful scrutiny, it was finally concluded that this icon of Phanurius had indeed been one of a group that had been exhumed after untold centuries, and that its freshness was a divine manifestation of the complete saintliness of this man about whom they were now determined to learn more. But years of research, scanning the archives of centuries and questioning the leading authorities of the day yielded nothing. And no more was known about Phanurius than the day on which his icon was snatched from the ruins of that ancient Greek church. The torture scenes on the icon provided no clues, an examination of which showed Phanurius being stoned on the rack, being slashed behind bars, standing before a judge tied to a frame, being burned with candles, tied to a post, thrown to wild animals, crushed by a boulder, holding hot coals, and a demon hovering against a background of flames. All of these horrors conveyed that Phanurius was an apparently indestructible instrument of God, and that in itself was sufficient evidence of his sainthood. Archbishop Milos of Rhodes concluded that the unblemished icon itself was testimony enough to prove that Phanurius was a man of divine grace, and he petitioned the Patriarch to convene a synod which would officially proclaim Phanurius a saint, after which there was erected in the saint's memory a cathedral which enshrined the holy icon. Phanurius, lost for centuries in the ruins of a church, became the patron saint of things lost. His name literally means to reveal. To this day his name is invoked when prayers are asked for the recovery of lost items. It is commemorated on August 27th, the day his icon was found. The faithful pray to St. Phanurius especially to help them recover things that have been lost. Because he has answered the prayer so often, the custom has arisen of baking a Phanuropita as a thanks offering. Therefore, the Phanuropita is not something that is baked before something is found. It is baked to show the people that the saint answered their prayers. There's also become a tradition, although no one knows where this tradition came, that when we bake the Phanuropita, we're supposed to pray for the mother of Saint Phanurius. There are some stories that say that perhaps his mother was a sinful woman. Perhaps it was his mother that betrayed him to the authorities that resulted in his martyrdom. We don't know. But the tradition is that we're supposed to pray for the mother of Saint Phanurius. A heavenly song of praise is brightly sung on the earth. The host of the angels keep an earthly festival now in splendor and radiant joy. From on high they praise with hymns the sufferings and struggles. And below the church of the law of the heavenly glory, thou foundest by thy contest and pains, O glorious Phanurius. From a vile captivity, thou didst deliver the Lord's priest. O godly-minded one, didst break their bonds by divine might. Thou didst bravely shame the tyrant's audacious madness, giving joy unto the angels. O thou great martyr Phanurius, most glorious, we all revere thee as a true warrior of God. Regarding St. Pimen the Great, St. Pimen was from Egypt and shone forth in the ascetical life in Skete in the 4th century. He was renowned for his discretion. Many of his sayings and deeds are preserved in the paradise of the fathers and the sayings of the fathers, the Irondikon. With the rivers of your tears, you have made the barren desert fertile. Your sighs of sorrow from deep within you, your labors have borne fruit 100-fold. By your miracles you have become a light, shining upon the world. O Pimen, our Father, pray to Christ our God to save our souls. Your holy memory, O righteous Father, of the many valiant deeds that's come today, makes glad the souls of pious and godly folk, our righteous Father, great Pimen of godly mind.
From St. Paul's second letter to the Corinthians. Brethren, our mouth is open to you, Corinthians. Our heart is wide. You are not restricted by us, but you are restricted in your own affections. This is important because many people look at Christianity as constrictive, that it does not allow us to be free, because we want to do things, and our religion says, well, you can't do those things. But the reality is that we become slaves to those things, to our passions, whereas Christianity is like training wheels on a bicycle, teaching us what it means to truly be free. In return, I speak as to children. Widen your hearts also. Do not be mismated with unbelievers. For what partnership have righteousness and iniquity? Or what fellowship has light with darkness? What accord has Christ with Belial, meaning the devil? Or what has a believer in common with an unbeliever? What agreement has the temple of God with idols? For we are the temple of the living God, as God said. So we should try to make our relationships with people that are like mind and like faith. From the Gospel according to St. Mark. At that time, there was in the synagogue of the Jews a man with an unclean spirit, and he cried out, "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Now, the demon is saying this thinking that he knows who Jesus Christ is, but clearly they do not. And the reason why I say this is because when Jesus Christ was tempted in the desert by the devil offered unto Jesus Christ all of the powers of the world. He said, "I have the authority to give these things to you." If he understood that Jesus Christ was the second person of the Trinity, the Logos, God, he would understand those things already belong to him. So this demon knows that Jesus is the Christ, knows that Jesus is the chosen one of God, knows that he is the Messiah, but does not realize that he is God himself and is trying to cause a ruckus to disrupt Jesus Christ. But Jesus Christ rebuked him, saying, "Be silent and come out of him." And the unclean spirit, convulsing him and crying with a loud voice, came out of him. And they were all amazed, so that they questioned among themselves, saying, "What is this? A new teaching. With authority he commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him." and at once his fame spread everywhere throughout all the surrounding region of Galilee.
I hope that you've enjoyed today's spiritual calisthenics. Have a blessed and wonderful day.